The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025, Season 21, Episode number 11. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. Feels like forever since I've been on the air with you guys. I'm sure you have missed me, but I'm back.
Derek, what do you think about George Pickens? I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks.
You haven't heard me talk about George Pickens?
No, sir.
I love the move. Okay. I mean, like, argue with me and tell me why he's not a #1 receiver with a good quarterback.
Man, you know what? I was listening to 105.3 The Fan, and I don't want to say nothing bad about them because we work together. They had some odyssey.
Okay. We all, and by the way, we all are good. We talk a little bit back and forth. It's all good.
They had some character from Pittsburgh. He's a Pittsburgh writer or something like that. Yeah. Bobby Belt asked him, "Well, is George Pickens a 1?" And he was like, "Oh, that guy? Oh, no, he's a really good 2. He's da-da-da-da-da-da." Well, I watch film, and you know, if
you watch film?
Oh, I sure do, Bryan Broaddus. Okay. And if you're able to beat Pro Bowl corners, that's false. if you're able to beat Pro Bowl corners, all pro corners, like #1 corners in man coverage, I think you're a wide receiver 1. Like if I think about what a wide receiver 2 is, I just think about Michael Gallup. I don't think Michael Gallup's whooping Surtain like that. You know, Gardner, DJ. I don't think he's whooping guys like that. There's film of George Pickens whooping guys like that. So yeah, to me, George Pickens is a bona fide wide receiver 1 with Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and old Russell Wilson. Please.
Right. Can I ask you this question?
Yes.
And this is a question for the table. Right now, if we all assume he is a 1, or at least a 1A, 1B, whatever.
Sure.
Who has a better receiving core right now between the Cowboys and Eagles?
People going to hate me for saying this. I think the Cowboys have the better quarterback, so I think by way of that, they'll have the better wide receiver core.
It will kill you for that.
It's fine. It's okay. Tight ends? Are we adding tight ends too?
No, we're just talking 2 receivers and quarterback. Well, you don't have to take the quarterback, just the 2 receivers and their skill set and what they can provide for a team.
I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys because in my mind, shouts out to the Eagle receivers, right? But if they had like a terrible quarterback, I don't think they would be producing in the same way that I've seen George Pickens produce with terrible passers, right? Like if you just watch Pickens highlights and you'll walk away going, man, that's a fantastic catch. Boy, that's a tough catch. But look at the pass that he had to catch. Don't just think about the catch. Think about him having to flip in the air 6 times or having to change shoulders where he's having to track the ball and find the football, right? Think about why that pass looks that way. If George Pickens finally gets passes on the money.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, come on, sir. And ladies and gentlemen watching, go ahead, Brian, please.
Yeah, this is where it's going to come down to is because I kind of feel like that Lamb, we've got an advantage with Lamb there. Where it's going to come down to is where Pickens is with the others. And to me, Voch hit it perfectly.
I did.
When you look at Pickens and how his ability to play on the move, and then give him the opportunity to catch a pass and make a run after catch. There's so many times we've seen him have to adjust, and now his run after catch gets negated because of a poor throw or an inaccurate throw.
Yeah.
I think that when you start to see, I think George Pickens is going to benefit from having a quarterback that can hit him on the move and allow him that skill that we saw in college where he's able to finish these runs. But there's so many times where you've watched him have to make plays behind him way too low and not take advantage of his skill set running with the football. That's where the Eagles have you a little bit there. That ability with Smith and those guys, when they catch that ball on the move and then they're able to get north-south and go, that makes them a very, very dangerous combination. I think you've got the best one in Lamb. Yeah. Now, how do their two compare to your guy? And I think your guy will have a more even playing field with a quarterback that can show the skill set that he's capable of having.
Awesome.
And this whole thing, I was just going to say, this whole thing, even the addition of Pickens, I mean, this is going to elevate Lamb's game even more. This is going to create more opportunities for him. So we know what we've seen with Lamb, with not really having great wide receivers around him. Now having a guy like Pickens come into the game and create more opportunities, I think we haven't seen the best yet.
Well, okay, let me do one thing real quick here. And this is, and when you were talking, this reminded me so much of what you always say, you know, and I'm asking here. I'm looking right in the camera and asking here right now. I'm saying this. Let's not get in a thing where it's Brandon Cooks and in week 5, AG's asking the question, well, where's Pickens?
Yes, sir.
Why isn't Pickens done? This is on this coach. The talent is there. Find a way to get this guy going in games. You know, you can find a way, get Lamb, go get all these receivers going, but especially this guy. This guy is a weapon, but don't have AG in week 6 ask, where's Pickens?
Well, that's why you have a different coaching staff right
exactly,
now.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is, let's not. This might be the only year you have this guy. We don't know, but for right now, we'll see how contracts and stuff play out. But please, as a coaching staff, I'm asking, don't waste this guy's talent. And don't make us have to make comments about it in week 6, week 7, like, well, why are they not getting him involved?
Here's what I will say. The last time the Cowboys had this talented of a receiver as a number 2 or whatever you want to call it, 1A, 1B, whatever, when they've had this talented of a second receiver was Amari Cooper. Cowboys at that time were putting up 30-plus points a game.
Yeah, there you go.
And so I think when you give this quarterback that level of talent around him at the wide receiver position, he certainly has shown that he has the ability to make it work and actually produce in that way to show you the value of having those kinds of receivers.
Well, also, too, on that point is even if Cooper was like big dog in that room, Lamb was a baby that year. Mm-hmm. You finally have an opportunity where you got 2 guys in their absolute prime. CD is in his prime, Pickens in his prime, right? So they're at the top of their game right now. If you Brian Schottenheimer, he has no clue who I am. They care nothing about what I got to say.
Well, that's the truth.
Come on. All you got to do.
I think that way sometimes, too.
All you got to do, that's facts. All you got to do is be better than what Mike McCarthy rolled out last year. And he's not here anymore, so I can kick them all around. The alarming rate of hitches, slants, or just go ball. There's no variety in it. At least I can say Kellen Moore got the best out of the Eagles guys, or at least Shane got the best out of the Eagles guys. How many times did we watch games and go, man, why don't we do this with CeeDee Lamb that's working, or this with Turpin that's working, or this that's been working? And it's like in the middle of the game, we're doing stuff that's never worked. Why are we doing this? If you're Brian Schottenheimer, keep it simple, do what works, throw the ball to Pickens, throw the ball to Lamb. Ferguson's going to be like, hey, I'm here. Yeah. Throw the ball to Ferguson. Yeah. Follow the game plan. And I'm just a dude with a camera and a microphone. They don't pay me millions of dollars to do this. They don't pay me millions of dollars to do this. Keep it simple.
To that point, how do you guys think they'll use Pickens? Because we've heard a lot about his ability to go downfield.
Yeah.
Is he a guy that maybe you move around?
Move him.
Is he a guy that the whole route tree is available to him? Like, what have you seen that suggests that gives you an idea of maybe how the Cowboys will want to use him?
Pickens said it perfectly. We are going to work off each other. Yeah. So they're going to double team Lamb sometimes, and Pickens going to get a one-on-one with some dude that they have no faith in, some miscellaneous cornerback too. And that's where your one-on-ones are going to come from. Then when they shade safeties over, okay, cool, now the middle of the field is open. All right, well, we're going to go away from Pickens a little bit now. And there's been this thing to where the defenses may not go for Dak's wide receiver, but they'll go for Ferguson because they know that Dak likes tight end. Cool, let's kind of move towards tight end a little bit. All right, well, CeeDee Lamb's just running over here by himself now. I think that they have to work off each other. And Brian makes a fantastic point because me and him podcast about this all the time. There may be games where Pickens only gets 3 targets. It just wasn't in the cards for you that day. They're just doubling you today, and they said, you know what, we just not going to let Pickens beat us today. Schottenheimer, Pickens, whoever, Clayton Adams, Dak, CD, they all got to work together and be like, hey, man, sometimes this is going to happen. CD has to sometimes go, look, I know I'm Lamb, and I'm making all the money, and I'm the guy. But they one-on-one in Pickens over there, and we've won by 30. I think everybody's got to come together and have an understanding. Dez said this a long time ago. Hey, look, we winning. I only got 5 catches and 70 yards, but boy, we won. If these wide receivers, quarterback, staff, everybody can just fall into that kind of line, as long as we win, cool.
put him in bunch formations and let him scatter out of that, because he has a feel. This guy has a feel for how to play across the field, how to play. You can watch some of his most successful plays there with the Steelers and stuff, and they get in bunch formations. They bring him to motion across, and then it's one-on-one, or they bring him into a bunch formation, scatter that, and now there's confusion in the defense about who's got who, and now he's running with that speed, that quickness, his ability to get away and separate. Yeah, anything that you could do where you have him play on the move, I think is a real advantage because of his ability to catch the football and his ability to catch it on the move without slowing down. He can catch the ball at full tilt and make plays for you that way. So just find ways to put him with, if you want to stack him in there with and make these defenders have to deal with him and Lamb together, and maybe Tolbert in there. That's what you have to do. Make them have to make a decision of how to play him and give him a running start, with his ability to get into route. You know what I love, and something that CD has already talked about, and also Pickens yesterday, it's just the chemistry that they already have. They've had a working relationship. They used to work out together a few times during the offseason, training together with other receivers. So they know each other already. And that, I think, helps a ton just to get the process started a lot faster in that way. And another thing to note, I know there was one of the shows when he got signed, or where the Cowboys made that deal, where we talked about the attitude and all of that. He came here yesterday, obviously, first day. Smiling. Nothing has happened yet, but big old smile with a great attitude, saying he's just a chill guy and everything is, happy. But, and I know we'll get into the OTAs and something, but something that I notice, and you continuously see it, is the environment that Brian Schottenheimer has created and continues to create for the team, that I think is just... It's infectious. Like it just carries, and everything. It's just a completely, and we'll probably talk about it later. Sure. Very different than previous years.
As far as Pickens, he's not a bad guy. I mean, his teammates love him. I mean, and if you're winning, I'm sure he's fine. But it's just all about if you're a coach, and if you're Tomlin's like what, 60 or something now. He's an older coach now, and maybe he doesn't have the patience. Brian 61. Brian 61, and maybe he doesn't have
the patience with you.
How old is Brian now?
Yes.
61.
Oh, okay.
You 61 years old?
I'm 61 years old. Yeah.
Okay. Trust me, man. Information, but maybe Tomlin ran out of patience here. Schottenheimer got a point to prove. He got a decade, or Like, hey, man, let's work on
50-year-olds. Yeah.
I said 50-year-olds got different energy, I guess. Derek and Bryan Broaddus. But if there's one thing, because I don't want to just be super homer, everything's gonna be cool here. If there's one thing that I have thought about as far as Dak and Pickens, Dak normally throws the ball if you're wide open. Yeah. If you're not wide open, he's looking somewhere else. I think Pickens is going to have to earn trust from Dak to where I may not look like I'm open. There's a lot of film where Pickens technically wasn't open, but he's so physical fighting towards the football that he really was open. Go back to Green Bay playoffs, Brandon Cooks, Jair Alexander, and Cooks just couldn't run through him. Yeah. And Dak kind of had to throw it anyway, but it ended up being like a pick or whatnot. Maybe Dak didn't have faith in that throw because Brandon Cooks is a little bitty compared. Pickens makes that catch. Yeah. Pickens is running through Jair Alexander, and he's making that catch. So I think in camp and these OTAs, I think they just have to work on somebody being on George Pickens' hip, and Dak just throwing the ball anyway and bailing him out.
One thing I will say about that on Dak, whether he throws to guys that are not open, he did pretty good with Dez Bryant. And Dez Bryant is not a guy that traditionally was always getting open. He was a guy that you threw the ball up to him, even though he had somebody on him. Dak figured out a way to get him the ball. So hopefully we'll see some of that same chemistry develop with George Pickens. All right, we're going to take our first breaks. When we come back, we got a lot to talk about, man. We can get into OTAs. We can talk about the schedule. We can talk about rules, man. We got so much stuff to talk about. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Hot mix waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take your steak, cornbread, cobbers, pot pie, and potatoes next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said that LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. We're in the second segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. The segment brought to you by blockchain.com.
I'd like to, since we're going to probably talk about rule changes and proposals.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, AG, let Voch read the ads. It's hilarious.
I'm not doing it. I don't work here, man.
Yeah, you do.
I don't, huh?
Yeah, you do.
I'm a friend of
You're
the
not going
show.
to get a paycheck coming up here whenever?
I'm getting paid.
All right, then.
We getting paid, right?
All right, then.
He was so proud of
work here.
He's so proud of his paycheck. He showed it before our show. He goes, "Look, I got paid by the Cowboys."
It was it wasn't about the money, Brian. It was, I've been doing this for 10 years.
Did you tell your mom how excited you were? Was she happy for you?
I tell my mom everything.
I know, but was she happy for you? You were working with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and I don't even think
defense rests or prosecution rests.
You the
case.
what?
I rest my case.
Come on,
He
man.
just
but yeah, man, mother's happy for me. She probably listens. Grandmother's definitely why she watch everything I do. We work for the Cowboys. Maybe they'll pay me $1 million one day.
There you go.
Maybe
so.
No.
Man, ain't nobody paying me. Please move on. Let's move.
They pay big checks around here.
What's that, OTAs?
On the other side of the building.
I was about to say, where?
On the other side of the building.
Where? I ain't seen that kind of money.
I've been here a long time with Derek, about 1999. Yeah,
Still ain't seen that much money.
I ain't seen
all
that
together. Yeah.
We've spent that much
We've
money
spent that
together,
much,
but we haven't ever.
No doubt.
Yeah,
What's
no
the
doubt.
ratings, man?
We
What's
got
the
a nice
ratings?
budget. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about OTAs. Yesterday, Cowboys had on-field activities, and we got to hear from Coach Shotty. We got to hear from Dak. There were lots of talk around it. Just what were your thoughts and what were your impressions on just the general vibe of what we were hearing from players, from coaches, and maybe what we saw on the field with regards to this team and their first availability on the field?
Well, I'll start.
Please do.
You know, I'm like, every year by the end of it, I'm like, next year, I'm not buying it again. You ain't fooling me again. It's not happening. And I'm not saying it's currently happening, but hear me out.
We at May 21st. You already in?
And Kool-Aid.
Hear me out.
What's Kool-Aid in Spanish?
That big Kool-Aid dude's busting through the fence right now.
I am not trying to fall in love again. I am not trying to fall for it, and I'm not trying to sell you
But you're
guys
starting to
on
get butterflies.
anything. But
May not be in love yet, but you're getting butterflies.
listen. Here's my problem. When you're around this and you start seeing the changes and you start seeing new things, you're like, let me just say, Brian Schottenheimer, he's making it very hard for you not to like what he's doing. He's making it very difficult because you walk in there and I'm not trying to say that last year the culture was terrible. There was some division.
Saying the culture was terrible.
There was some division that started happening, when when you're losing game, obviously people are mad, it happens. But the point is, this year, he's so focused on building that culture, building those relationships, making sure that they're a family, that they're all in this together. We're all not working for you, but we're working with each other and making things happen. So an example that people brought up yesterday was even the music that was being played at practice. I don't pay attention to music that much, but it was clearly big enough to where people were talking about it and the playlist. There was a ping pong table inside the locker room. Let me give you guys an illustration of years past. Nothing has happened like that before. They're throwing a ball into the dirty trash can, like not the trash can, but the dirty clothes, the dirty laundry, where they all are sweaty clothes, and then they go and get the ball and they play basketball in that like that. But a ping pong table in the middle of the locker room, initially I was like, what is going on here? But then you see the guys playing, and even after a practice, they're in there playing with each other, having the laughs, and that's what builds chemistry. That's what builds those relationships. So again, the way that the players are speaking about this new changing coaching staff, the way that Dak has expressed also that there's a lot of understanding from, like, the communication is there and the vision is there. They're all in sync. And again, whether or not that's going to translate on the field when it comes to actual season games and all that, that is yet to be seen. We'll see what happens. But right now it's I'm falling for it again. Kool-Aid.
And I wasn't happiest in the world about the, signing or what. I just think the Cowboys didn't do a great job of just, exhausting the options, right? It was like, all right, we're just going to bring in a shot and just go from there. But the more you listen, the more you just listen to the players respond, and you listen to him talk, and you listen to what Jerry has to say about him, and you just really start to think now, like, hey, man, you really just got to motivate the guys and keep everything on track, and you in charge of hiring and things of that. I think one of the biggest things Schottenheimer's done already is he just didn't hire friends of his or just hire people that just needed jobs when the rent was due, just 90-year-old men that needed something to do. He hired some of the best people in the business, and he's going to need that help, like scheme-wise or whatnot. But besides that, it seems like the young 50s, Derek, is doing better than the old 60-year-old man. Hey, Shotty, what you got in that cup? Yeah. A Shotty. That means something. You know what I mean? And it's something small, but just, hey, coach got swag, coach da-da-da-da. And Mike McCarthy doing that goofy little thing that he did, that ain't, you know what I'm saying? That's not relating to these guys. Or no, we're not going to play music loud. That's not relating to these guys. That's why, I think old coaches, they get kind of stuck in their ways and they just kind of do things that they want to do. And we're not going to play music. I think Shotty's able to adapt. Hey, Dak, what do you think we can do here to make XYZ work? Hey, CD, what do you think? Oh, y'all want to listen to music? Play Kendrick. I don't care. Play some music. You know, I think that alone makes him a much better hire than some old coach with, championships or just please go ahead.
I know. I was going to say this, and to that point, I think when you talk about the process that the Cowboys went through in making this hire, one of the things I've heard that I think we're all starting to see now is I don't think the Cowboys, when they initially sat down with Shotty, were even thinking about him as a head coach. They were talking to him as a coach that was on the staff. They're trying to get a feel. And I think they woke up 2 or 3 interviews later with him that weren't scheduled and were like, man, this dude's got something different. This dude is different. He's got something. Like, there's something here. And I think we all have gone through the same process that I think the Cowboys went through when they were going through the interview process, which is we've started to see these little things that say, man, this dude's different.
You're falling in love too.
No, and honestly, last week when we did the live stream with Micah and CD and Osa and Tyler, I was on that cart when Shotty came up. What happened before the cameras caught that moment is they were basically like, oh, Shotty's over there. Like, they were like, hey, stop, we want to talk to Shotty. And so Shotty sees him, like, what's up? And he gets off of his cart, comes over. They have a whole conversation before they got to the famous line now about the Shotty. And they're just talking, like, they are not talking as coach to player and player to coach. They're talking as just men that are hanging out that like each other.
Derek coming, here comes Derek.
Sick of Derek.
Look the other way.
No, but it's like that's when I started saying there's something different here, because I'm also a big believer in culture. I think it makes a huge difference in a work. I don't care what the work environment is. Sure. Work environments, if you have the right culture, you will get way more done and you'll be way more effective. That doesn't mean everything's going to always be perfect. It doesn't mean you're always going to win. It means you'll be in the best position to win. And when things go wrong, you'll be able to weather storms because you have great culture. And I think because he leans so much into that culture, I think players are certainly buying it. What I'm seeing from players behind the scenes in the way they're responding to us, in the way they're responding to their other teammates, says to me something is different going on here. And that's not a knock on McCarthy or anybody else. It is saying Shotty is doing something different, and this team is responding right now.
I know, Brian, you want to talk about it. Let me give you a quick story, another story. This is not something that was very publicized or anything, but when he got hired, and this was something very refreshing, very new to us because we haven't experienced that at all, he took the time out of his day to show up early in the morning with bags of Whataburger breakfast and went around the whole office desk by desk, introduced himself, shook hand with employees that literally have nothing to do, like on hands with football or anything. This is all on this side of the building with people
accounting, marketing,
everybody.
Yeah.
He went around the whole building and shook hands with everybody, introducing himself. And it was one of those things like, wow. Again, you're not just hearing it with words, you're actually seeing it. You're seeing it happen. And I told him that day, I said, hey, you know what? I personally really appreciate this because we've never had an experience like this. For someone to value this, like this side of the building in that way is very new to us. And I love everything that he's doing. And so far, based on this time of the year, he's going above and beyond, in my opinion, to what he can actually do this time of the year.
That's awesome, man. We got a coach. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to take this in a different direction. The most encouraging thing to me yesterday was your quarterback wasn't limited. Mm-hmm. And, we all talked about the injury and how it really, the season was not great last year. And then, he gets hurt and then it becomes even worse. And, you are what you are at that point. But the thing that was most encouraging to me is because on our station on 105.3 The Fan, Stephen Jones was talking about, Dak might be in the OTAs and the mini camps might be limited. Well, he wasn't limited yesterday. He went out there and did what he had to do. He was moving around well. Physically, he looks fine. Dak is always going to be in the best shape he could be in going in. Him and Britt Brown, they put in the work. That's the encouraging part of it to me, that when you got a guy like new players, you've got a new right guard, you've got new wide receiver, you've got new players. Dak being out there and being a part of the offense and just from the jump and not all of a sudden that, and nothing against Joe Milton. It's nice to see Joe Milton out there throwing the ball. But this team is going to come and go as that quarterback is. And the fact that, we're not having to worry about him in these OTA minicamp practice and what's his status going to be for training camp. You could get this thing started. Now he could be in the Dak yard throwing with Pickens, throwing with Lamb. He can do all the things necessary to get this offense up to speed by the time we get to Oxnard. That's probably the most encouraging thing that I've seen from the OTAs and minicamp so far after just only one day.
And another thing real quick, Overshown, y'all better watch out. Y'all keep an eye on him. The way he's walking around, that guy, I don't know what he has in his system, but I think he might not necessarily be completely out like we think he might be for the season. He's looking good. So the way he's doing his recovery, he's doing a really great job. You just see him walking around and physically he looks good.
That's what happens when we work really hard at rehab, like really, really hard at rehab.
It's important.
You trust Britt Brown in the whole process, and I ain't gonna say nothing now.
No, it's facts. I think they have guys in that training room that will get players back and ready to play. You got to follow the process. And not everybody always does it that way. But I think when you're committed to it, and certainly he has youth on his side. I'll tell you that when you're young, below that 50 age range, you can recover. You can at 32, you might not even be able to recover like that. But I'm just saying, like when you're young and you've got the right people around you and giving you the right information and you're following it, I think you can see some really great things happen. All right, we're going to take our final break. We will come back. I want to get some reaction from you guys on the schedule. Schedule was released last week. Some interesting things for the Cowboys. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a Pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. We are in the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's talk schedule. Schedules came out last week, and a lot of interesting things for the Cowboys. But here's how I'm going to frame this conversation with you guys. I think there are three things I've identified on this schedule that are, let's call it, challenging.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to tell me which of the three you think is most challenging. Cowboys, for the first time in the history of the NFL, have four Thursday games. Yeah. There is a late stretch of games versus 2024 playoff teams. That'll be Philadelphia, Kansas City, at Detroit, Minnesota, Chargers, at Washington. That'll be six of their last 7 games all in a row. Or the stretch of 3 games in 11 days when you have a Monday nighter at Las Vegas, and then a Sunday game against Philadelphia, and then a Thursday game against Kansas City. Which of those three do you think is going to be the most challenging?
You got old veterans, but you have some young guys on your team. So I think Dak will be fine with the, 3 games in this, time here, or these. The veterans have seen nonsense like this before. Oh, all right, we got a Thursday and another Thursday and a Monday and a Thursday again. But if you're like Booker at the end of the season, how do you feel? Or like Jadon Blue, or like, some of these young rookies, some of these young guys that they don't have the man body yet to deal with this stuff. And now we're on a short week after, like it's week 13 now, and I got another game in 4 days. So I think that's going to be something tough for the young guys to deal with. But of course, playing tough teams towards the end of the year, conference games, of course, that's something that's going to be tough for you. But they're all crappy equally.
Okay. My beef with the NFL is week 1, What are we doing?
Thought you were going to say
what
Christmas
in
at
the
the
world?
Commanders is what I thought you were going to say.
No,
Oh, she's already out on that.
That's next. Hold on. That's
already
next.
out on that.
That's next. But the first week 1, I mean, sure. Let's find out right off the bat how we do. Those people, like, no. Give us some breathing room. Like, we have so many new pieces to the game that I'm like, that's going to be challenging for the Cowboys. Week 1, away from home, have to put together a great game against you know who.
But you got all training camp to do it, right? I actually thought that's a value because basically you get weeks to be able to prepare for that first game, right?
We know training camp practices is not the same as real game.
No, get that. I'm just saying.
But
I'm just
and
saying,
again, it's what's going to happen in the preseason. Here's my question: is Schottenheimer going to play some of the starters in the preseason or not?
Gotta hope so.
I'm really curious to see because I think the opponent in week 1 has to change your strategy of what you do during the preseason. There's no way you sit out all those guys those 3 weeks because of who you're playing week 1. Now the rest, when you talked about that stretch later in November, December, I'm okay with that because this is what we do. This is what football is. You got to play those games. And it is what it is. Let's just play the games. At that point, you hope that you're not attacked and dealing with a bunch of injuries again. You hope that by that time, actually your team now it should be what it's going to be. And then my next beef number 2.
That's just number 2?
Beef number 2.
Oh, that was 1?
That was 1.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Beef number 2.
Hey, yo, Beam, can you zoom out to watch her hand? Her hand's going crazy over here. She upset for real.
I'm sweating.
She upset for real. Please.
Washington?
What's number 2? Go
in December? Washington?
That's crazy.
In Christmas?
Yeah.
Like, we think differently because obviously NFL is a business.
It is.
But man, we gotta play.
Come on, AG.
They're like, I get it.
AG, you've worked a lot of holidays.
I get it.
Come on.
We gotta play Thanksgiving every week, every year. That's fine. We love it. We love Thanksgiving. That's a tradition there. But no, go to Washington out of all places. You already know I'm taking that one.
Oh, when I saw the schedule, I was like, Amber ain't going to that game.
But that's so messed up. Like, Washington is one of the worst places to, like, that stadium is just terrible. That stadium is terrible. It is.
I haven't been.
You're not missing out.
Good. They're going to have a new one in a couple of years.
I've never been invited.
So again, that one is more a personal thing.
I don't work.
The rest
I can't wait to tell the county he don't work here.
I am not on the list of that flight. Please go ahead and keep going.
No, that's it. That one was more of a personal.
You know what? I'll say this though about the Christmas Day game, and this is my only thought about the schedule right now. That right there is going to be for a playoff spot.
Yeah,
for
Christmas night at Washington.
Week
Those
17,
are always big ones.
It's going to be one way or another. Dallas's season is going to come down to a Thursday. And Derek, get your crew ready for Sounds of the Sidelines.
Oh yeah,
and Deep Blue on how this game and how it all transpired on a Christmas night, and maybe snow in the air and all that stuff. That game right there is going to be whether you get in the playoffs or not. Yep. That's just as I look at the schedule, there's a lot of things you're going to have to navigate here. That's probably going to be the most important one you're going to have to navigate if you want to get in the playoffs. And I'm not even saying about winning the division. I'm just saying getting into the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough year for anybody in the NFC East. The schedule against the NFC North and the AFC West is not going to be easy. And then now mix in the games because you finished first or second. Now you're playing other teams as far as that. And who knows if you go out and find a way, you get off to a good start in the season, then you go and play like crap against the Jets, who are 1-4 at the time. You don't know how this thing's going to play out. But the one thing I do know, I think that Commanders game, Christmas night, is going to come down to whether you get in the playoffs or not.
Yep. I think I will say it right now. I firmly believe that game will break records when it comes to the amount of people that will tune in to watch it.
And it's an
You're
early
talking
game
about a noon
too, right?
Game. So literally, people will get up, they will open presents with their families, and then they will sit down to watch this game. And especially if both these teams are in playoff contention,
right?
That game will break records. I put money on it. That game will break records. It's the renewal of a rivalry that has been missing for a long time. But you're talking about a Washington team that's gotten a lot better over the last year. And I think a lot of people feel like Dallas has better now than they were last year. If both those teams are in contention, that game will break records.
Yeah, word is Mike Zimmer will come back and be the defensive coordinator for that game because he has a handle on how to play that quarterback.
There you go.
It took Marcus Mariota to come in the game for the Commanders to get the victory on the final week in a game they were trying to win. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
Also, too, let me just say, games that are just weird looking that are probably going to matter later on are Cardinals and Packers. And I think the Cowboys are, I would say, more talented than Arizona right now. But those games are always weird.
Last time we went up there, it didn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. Those games just are goofy for no reason. Yep. I even think you technically can beat Green Bay. The Cowboys just haven't.
Yeah.
So
they did when I was there.
When you were there, back in the 70s or something?
Well, maybe this is a Bryan problem.
Yeah, I need to walk away from this thing.
Maybe it's a Bryan problem.
It is a Bryan problem. I need to go back with the Packers.
But those games,
Packers.com.
Conference games, just weird games, I just don't like them looking at them.
It's funny. The one game on this schedule that I absolutely thought they were going to lose, I'm going to say when you play that game, win, loss, that game. Sure. The game at Denver. They have not won at Denver since 1995.
It's a hard place to play.
It is.
The elevation.
Well, didn't the last time you guys went there when I was back here, but then we have a weather delay for like an hour.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then Zeke had 8
wheels
yards.
Fell off.
Yeah. That game right there, to me, I just immediately, when I saw it at Denver, I just put an L right next to it. And please prove me wrong.
But I will say this. When you look at those two games, particularly Denver and Chicago.
Yeah.
Those are two games I was quickly going to look at when I got the schedule.
What time of year?
Yeah, what time of year. And to get those in September and October, that's a win. That's
coldest I've ever
Dallas.
been in my life was at Chicago.
Me too. That game was miserable. And I wasn't out there on the field the whole time. It was miserable. And so I look at this and I'm just like, they won from the standpoint of those two games being played at the time of the year they are. And also, Amber, you talked about the fact they have all these new pieces. When you look at their early part of the season, they really have only Philadelphia and Green Bay in the first, 6 weeks? Mm-hmm. 4 of those other games that they'll play in the first 6 games are all teams that were not playoff teams last year. So you got actually some time.
That's what I'm saying. When you get to November, that you should
be ready. But you have some time there to kind of get things going, get your guys in, get them ready, and get them on the same page so that by the time you hit the tougher part of your schedule, you're ready to go.
I hated this looking about the early part of the schedule. The fact that you had 3 noon games, like in the first 6 weeks.
You don't like the noon games?
I love the noon games,
okay.
but you stacked them all together.
Oh,
I was thinking, give me a noon game, give me 3 games, a TV game or whatever. Give me another noon game. Kind of give me a little bit of a break to like, especially if you want to give me noon game on East Coast and let me travel back. Where I have a chance. Don't maybe come home at 4 a.m. or something like that. I always look at those like for example, the Jets game, great. That's a noon game. Travel back for the team will be good. Carolina, another East Coast game, good. Travel back. Noon games on the East Coast, I think, are a real good advantage to get your team back home at a decent hour, so you can have a Monday to get things kind of organized instead of rolling in at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning like we normally do.
Yeah, I'm just going to say right now, Amber, you're out on Christmas, so day after Christmas, you're hosting because I'll be at home with my family opening presents. So
fair.
Straight off.
Fair. I'll take that.
All right, good. Y'all remember, she said it.
The day after Christmas. What's that?
That would be the day we have a show on the 26th.
Oh, I can't make it, man. I can't.
You can make it?
The 26th?
The 26th? What's wrong with the 26th?
Christmas is all week. Christmas.
We don't do vacation. I mean, we don't do holidays around here.
I got to change my mind about what we talked about behind the scenes a couple weeks ago.
We don't do holidays around here.
I thought it was all roses and bubbles up in
during the season. We don't do holidays around here.
Oh, man.
Which is the funny thing. Every time we get the schedule I'm not looking at, how the team is going to play. Blah, blah. I'm looking at how is my life affected. Like, I love all those Thursday night games, the Monday. I love it because then we get the weekend.
So we get no breaks on the break. Is that what you're saying?
By the time we get to training camp, we don't take a break until the Cowboys are done.
Welcome to the NFL.
That's true.
That's how we do it.
Come on, man. You signed up for 18 weeks.
That's how we do it.
Man.
Are you in it or are you not?
If you're
in, you got to be 100%.
I'm not sure. All right. We appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back next week. We'll have more to talk about. We'll have some more OTAs next week, so we'll talk about that again next week. Till then, for Voch Lombardi, Bryan Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!